The only time you create a difficulty in your life is when you function from unconsciousness or anti-consciousness. If you function from total consciousness, you would then have total awareness. You would not function from judgment of right or wrong, good or bad, and you would be able to perceive what your choice would create. So being you ain't what you thought it was. Being you is actually a sense of space and the ability to actually, no matter what's going on, find your way to that space again. But it's not just a static space. It's a space that continuously can grow. Meaning you, and the beauty of using access consciousness tools is you might have a situation today that is just slamming you in the face and you're like, ah. But if you use the tools, what you'll do is you'll find a way through that situation to what's true for you. Because the only time you create a difficulty in your life is when you are doing two things. One, you're functioning from unconsciousness or anti-consciousness, and you're functioning from something that is not really true for you. Because what's true for you always makes you lighter, okay? A lie always makes you heavier. What's true for you always makes you lighter, a lie always makes you heavier. That's one tool. That's tool number one, okay? And that really is kind of like tool number one, like period, tool number one. If it makes you heavy, it's not true for you. If you would start choosing those things that made you lighter, even if the person next to you doesn't get it, even if they don't understand at all, and they're like, why do you keep choosing that? Because it makes me lighter. When we were kids, we had too much energy and were judged for it and made wrong. So we decided we would not be that anymore because we didn't want people to be hurt by us. We didn't want people to judge us. We didn't want people to yell at us. We didn't want people to feel bad around us. So we just cut off our arms. We cut off our legs. We cut off our fireworks that we have inside. We cut off our enthusiasm to validate their judgment of us. And then in order to do that and in order to maintain that, anytime that energy is present anywhere in the world, anytime anybody might have it, you have to use judgment, which is what we use to separate from others and ourselves. You use judgment to keep it away, because if that energy got in, you might be that bad, terrible thing that you decided you never wanted to be again. Everything that is times a godzillion, we destroy and uncreate it all, please. Right, wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Okay, that was a clearing statement. So what I'll be asking is, will you destroy and uncreate? Why? Because every limitation in our lives is something we have directly or indirectly, cognitively or non-cognitively chosen. Okay, just let that sink in for a moment. Because it sounded just like a sentence, right? No, it was more than a sentence. It was an explanation of everything. How the universe works. Have you guys seen that show? It's awesome. It's on the Science Channel. I recommend watching it. Anyway. Every limitation in our lives is something that we've chosen. Now, that can sound like it really sucks at first. Because, number one, a lot of times we like to blame other people in outside circumstances. But if you do, you're giving the power to it, and now you can't change it. The only thing you can do is, it is now a big dragon, and you are a tiny chihuahua. Okay? Because anytime you fight against something and you make it the source, you have to make yourself less in order to prove that that is true. So if you realize that every limitation in our lives is some way we have chosen it directly or indirectly, cognitively or non-cognitively, which is the one we really want to get. Because let's look at your money situation. No, okay, sorry, everything that brought up. Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, and buck, all nine, insurance, boys, we have. Okay, some of you are like, oh my God, I have so much money. And everybody's like, fuck you! Which is why you don't want to have so much money. Anyway, that's a story for another time. Let's look at your money situation for a moment. If you looked and went, wow, I chose this, does that change the perspective? Because how much money is one of those things we always put outside of us. Relationship, maybe we'll own more as though it was our choice and as though we did something, because you got another person here and, oh yeah, I chose to marry them. Okay. Everything that brought up. For those of you happily married, will you destroy and create all that place? Right, wrong, good and bad, pot, all nine, shorts, boys, or happily divorced. Yeah. See, now here's the thing. If you use access tools, you can create an awesome relationship by having one with you that allows you to have one with them. But as I was saying, if you look at your money situation, if you went, wow, somehow I've chosen this for some reason. And the thing is, we look and we so seldom are willing to look and go, I chose that. Because how many of you don't raise your hands. How many of you, though, would rather look at your money situation and go, oh my God, how did that happen to me? How did I get here again? Here's the thing is, there's a hidden reward from our point of view for everything that we choose. The problem is, the fucking reward is hidden, okay? But this is the non-logical logic that we use to create the things in our lives that we choose, as though somehow it somehow makes some weird twisted sense in our version of reality, in our version of the world. But here's the thing. The only time you create a difficulty in your life is when you function from unconsciousness or anti-consciousness. If you function from total consciousness, you would then have total awareness. You would not function from judgment of right or wrong, good or bad. And you would be able to perceive what your choice would create. Would that be a gift? Like having a sense of what your choice would create? Yes? Yes. You willing to have it? Yes. You willing to ask to be that aware? Yes. Even if it's a little terrifying sometimes? Yes. Right and wrong, good and bad, POD and POC, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyond. So the way this clearing statement works is we'll have this conversation that leads us to either a stuck point or a choice point, usually. And after a while of doing it, you'll start to perceive the energy. I mean, probably by tonight, you know, or maybe already. You'll start to perceive where an energy where it kind of goes, ooh, where it's like, ooh, here's a possibility. And then there's all these points of view that we had that don't allow that possibility, but we talk around and about, and then it shows this. And then it's like, oh, would you choose this? You know, like to know that your choice creates, for example. And you're like, yeah, okay, then let's destroy and uncreate, meaning destroying the structure. Because basically, whenever we have a limited point of view, we have put a prison cell around us, made with big concrete blocks. It's almost like if you could see yourself, you know, when you're taking some of these points of view, you're like, oh, block number 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I'm getting faster at building blocks around me. I'm so good. This is so great. I'll be protected from the world by my fixed points of view. This is, wow, it's getting higher. Wow, oh, I can't even see the sun anymore. You know, because you build this thing. So will you destroy, meaning will you destroy the structure that you have chosen to create? And then will you uncreate, which is take your creative energy out of that, because the only reason those walls can stay up, the only reason those limitations can stay in place, the only reason the contraction of your space can stay in place, oh my God, that rhymed, that was so good, is because you put your creative energy into it, okay? So I'm asking you, will you destroy and will you uncreate? And by the way, if you haven't smiled yet, check your pulse or your face muscles, okay? Because I know it's tough, but just make sure they work.